Hello friends, back again with the new video. So our topic today is what is feeler gauges. Feeler gauge is also known as thickness gauge. Feeler gauge is used to find the gap between the two mating part, or it is used as a clearance. It is used to find the clearance between the two mating part. And the gauges of the or the strip of the feeler gauges is made of high carbon steel, so they have high strength. So this is the basic definition of or basic introduction of feeler gauge. Okay. Now moving forward, now I want to tell you the introduction about feeler gauges. Feeler gauges is a tool used to measure the gap width. Feeler gauge mostly used in engineering fields to measure the clearance between the two parts. Means feeler gauge is used to find the gap width, and it is used in engineering fields. Mostly it is used in the quality sector to find the clearance between the two mating parts. They consist of a number of small length of steels of different thickness with measurement mark on each pieces of the gauge. Means gauges of the feeler gauge consist of the number of small length of strips with the which have different thickness. According to their thickness, we find the clearance between the two parts. Okay, and the reading of the feeler gauges can be in or in inches. They are flexible and they have no sharp edges. Okay. The strip of the filler gauges are flexible and they have no sharp edges. Filler gauge can take the measurement as small as 0.02 mm and as large as 5.08 mm. Means we can find the reading, we can measure the reading as small as 0.02 mm and the large as 5.08 mm. We can find the clearance. Gauges of the filler gauges are made of high carbon steels. Means they have high strength. Okay, so this is the basic introduction of filler gauges. Okay. So these are the parts of the filler gauges. It consists of the locking device. The locking device is where the blades of the different filler gauges is locked, and the fixed part of the filler gauge is known as case. And 0.0, 0.60, 0.06, 0.10 are the thickness reading of the filler gauges, is known as scribe measurement. And the blade of the filler gauge is known as tapered steel leaf, or commonly known as blade. Okay, so these are the parts of the filler gauges. So these are the types of the filler gauges. These are tapered filler gauge, straight filler gauge, impeller filler gauge, metric filler gauge, go and no go filler gauge, offset filler gauge, and metric and impeller filler gauge. So let's discuss each filler gauge one by one in brief. Straight leaf filler gauge. Straight leaf filler gauge may also known as parallel leaf, also referred as parallel leaf. The sides are parallel all the way from the locking screw to the tip. The leaves have smooth round edges. Means the straight filler gauges have a smooth round edges, and all the leaves are parallel to one another. Okay. Taper leaf filler gauges. Taper leaf filler gauges narrow towards the tip. They tend to be shorter than the straight leaf. When the size of the filler gauges of the filler gauge is smaller as compared to the straight leaf filler gauge, and they have narrow towards the tip. Okay. Go and no go Go and no gauge filler gauge. A go and no gauge filler gauge is to differentiate between the thick base and the thinner base. Means that the gauge which can pass between the two mating part is known as go gauge, and which cannot pass between the two mating part is known as no gauge. Okay. Impeller filler gauge. An impeller filler gauge gives the measurement in thousands of inches. Means we can find the reading from 0.02 inches to 0.04 inches. So impeller filler gauge. Metric filler gauge. In metric filler gauge, we can find the measurement in thousands, hundreds of a millimeter. Means we can find the reading from 0.04 to 1 mm through metric filler gauge. Combined impeller and metric filler gauge. Some filler gauge have both features, impeller filler gauge and the metric filler gauge. For impeller filler gauge, we can find the reading from 0.015 to 0.025 inches, and for the metric filler gauge, we can easily find the reading from 0.05 to 0.55 mm. Okay. Filler strip. These filler gauges are not connected in a set, but they are connected to them. But their ends are connected to measure. They are easy for quick and easy use. Means these type of the filler gauge are not connected with the locking screw, and they have a common strip, and we can easily find the reading through. For quick and easy use purposes, we use filler strips. Okay, and we can find the thickness or to find the clearance between the two parts through this strip is to 0.03 mm. Okay, offset blades are bent towards the tip and used for the motor vehicle application and work in restrictive area. Means the blade of these offset blades are bent towards the tip and used in automobile sectors. Okay, blade size in inches and in mm. So these are the some reading of filler gauges in inches and also in mm. Means 0.015 inches, 0.02 inches, 0.03 inches, 0.04 inches, 0.05 inches, 0.06 inches, 0.07 inches, and in mm is 0.04, 0.05, 0.06, 0.07, 0.08, 0.09, and 0.1. Okay, so these are the size blade of the filler gauges. Means the thickness of the filler means the blade thickness of the filler gauges. Okay, care and maintain of the filler gauges. Oh, filler gauges should be cleaned with oily cloth before storage to prevent rust. Means we have to clean the filler gauges through oily cloth before keeping so as to prevent the rust formation. First, close the filler gauge together before closing the case. Means we have to first close the blades of the filler gauges together. Then we close into this case. So these are the care and maintenance of the filler gauges. Thank you. I hope all of you got understood what is filler gauge, what are the different types of the filler gauge, and how it works. So, if you still have any doubts or query, please write in my comment section below. And if you like my video, please like it in my YouTube channel. So, thank you. Okay.